first found Play Big, aka Gamble, on the website Finger Lakes Finest, and they do a really great job of helping to find thoroughbreds homes. So I contacted one of the volunteers, and they suggested he would be a nice horse to look at while we were heading to the Finger Lakes racetrack. So the first thing I do is I research the horse a little bit through the Equibase website, which is really great. I can pull up the statistics on the horse, the results, how many races, and you tend to want to look for kind of a consistent racing schedule. And then you can also look at the auction history, which Gamble did sell for a fair amount of money. And another good thing that you can do is also look up the pedigree through the equine line. And that's really nice because you can see the pedigree. So horses I tend to look for are Danzig, because that's related to Johnny, my 4-star horse. And then another good thing I like in horses are the Nijinsky line. They tend to be good jumpers. So the second thing I like to do is pull up the race on the horses. So the last one that they won, because you can end up learning a lot about their movement. So I'll let you guys watch the last race that he won, which was back in July.
He's special, fast off the mark. Speed on the outside from Code of Valor. And down towards the inside, trying to close the gap is Get It Done. Now rushing up through into contention is the favorite, Play Big. Play Big hustled out there to a short lead. Back behind him is Lagoon of Diamonds, who is about 4 off the lead, while taking a spot down at the rail. So that one's outside is Orbit, who's on the advance. We go about 3 open lengths back to Poise to a T, and another 4 at the back of the pack to Take Note Ma. Race for the head of the home stretch, quick opening quarter in 22 and 1. And Play Big, the favorite, opens up by 4. About a half in 45 and 2, and turns into the lane clear by 3. Get It Done, charging hard in second. Way out wide in third, and the black cap is He's Special. One path wider than that one is Orbit. The race inside the furlong grounds here. It's Play Big with a 4-length cushion. Get It Done trying to re-rally. To the outside is Orbit. Strides are shortening. Play Big is still on the lead. Play Big. A popular victory here in the 4th from Suffolk Downs.
So like I said, these videos, especially the ones where they won, because they tend to focus on the winner coming back, so you're able to see movement of the horse. So sometimes when you're only able to see kind of a 10-second track video on Facebook, this can give you a little bit more information about the horses. So what I liked about Play Big or Gamble is he looks like he's got a really nice canter, a good gallop, a fair amount of cadence. He's a big moving horse. So this gave me a good amount of insight to him at the track. And his last race was September. The last one that he won was in July. So this is pretty good. And then again, you can kind of see how they trot. And sometimes the text stuff gets in the way. But I try to see how they, stand, if they're walking around, how they walk. They have a good overstep in their walk. So kind of, again, it's a good way to give you a little bit more information about the horse. You do have to pay a little bit of money to watch these videos on Equipace, but I do feel like it's worth it, especially if I'm very interested in a horse. So this was Gamble the day that I saw him, November 6th, when we went to go up to Finger Lakes. We decided to look at him first since he was on the farm about 30 minutes out from Finger Lakes. And that's ended up kind of why he hadn't sold yet, because people would just go to the racetrack to look at horses. So I could see he trotted on the road. He looked a little footsore, but he didn't have any front shoes on. But he was very, very sensible about the traffic and stuff. And so now I'm just kind of looking over his legs. He seems to be a nice built horse. He's been living out in the pasture, so he had some rain rot. What you want to look for when you're looking at one jog is you want to see that even if they're maybe a little short in the front, it's still even. So he moves really well behind. He has a really large hind end, a really good engine, and then a very good uphill shoulder. So once I get him fixed up, he should move really nicely. As you can see, I knew he moved a little what I call footy, so a little tender in the front, but he seemed okay on the soft grass. And again, he was barefoot, but then anytime he stepped on the hard ground, he was pretty darn painful. So He was a very good boy, though. He had a good attitude, and he kind of pulled on my heartstrings a little bit, so I decided to take the chance on him. Now, I did not have a pre-purchase vet exam done on him, which I would suggest to do, but I decided to kind of take the risk, and because he seemed like it was a fairly simple remedy for him, which would be putting on front shoes. So we loaded him up on the trailer. He was a really good boy. First things first was when I got home the next day, I had my farrier, was able to put shoes on him, which is very helpful. But here's a picture of where he had an abscess, which even though I had shoes on him and he seemed to be a little bit better, he was still really sore. And then I decided to have my vet out so we could do a couple of x-rays on him to make sure he didn't have any fractured coffin bones or anything like that. And what his x-ray showed was where the red arrows are, kind of all that black below, that is in fact supposed to be the coffin bone, but it was filled with infection. So in the picture prior where you saw where that abscess was, it had, because it had been prolonged, had worked its way into the coffin bone. So just to give you guys an example, this is kind of how you want the coffin bone to look like. So you can see the difference with Gamble's. So then what I did is I put him on these supplements, and he was also on antibiotics for 21 days to attend to the coffin bone infection. So now this is 4 weeks later, and there was a big improvement with Gamble in his soundness, and also clearly in the x-ray, so you can see the coffin bone better. He does still have some roughening around the edges, but my vet wasn't too worried about that, as that could have come from a little bit of the x-ray and his hoof not being completely clean. But overall, he was really happy. And both my vet and farrier were happy with the amount of hoof growth he had in a short amount of time. And also, since he has been in a fair amount of pain due to his feet, so now that he is cleared to ride and feeling better, you should be really seeing a difference in his body condition.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.